Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday.
We are very casual here in our sweats on this Monday.
Yes.
Low key Monday Madre.
Yeah. Good thing we're not doing this is a flashback episode. You will be hearing an older episode, but we want to bring it in. But I'm glad because I think I have allergies or something because I cannot stop sniffling. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Horrible.
no, same, 100%.
So,
Yeah. Quickly, though, for anybody tuning in, we are the EFFing Madres. I'm Romy. This is Carla, and we are two best friends, two mamas, and two Latinas. And we started a podcast about a year ago, which is why we are throwing back to some of our best episodes right now, because was almost in June of last year that we kind of got this going, right? July.
it was July.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been an effing year.
Yeah, it has been. It has been a year. So yeah, we thought it would be nice to just throw back to some episodes that actually got quite a bit of downloads, got some interest from people. So this one is of your mama.
Yes. So one of the first episodes, right? I guess it was season 1. It was episode 5. It was Just Effing Believe was the name of this episode. And I got to interview mi madre and talk to her about her F it moment when she really just said F it and went after being the mother to me and my brothers through a lot of ups and downs and kind of her journey with us. And we got such a great reaction. Like, people were really emailing and responding and really loved it. So she gets to be one of the episodes in our flashback.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Please forgive our audio because these are were one of our first episodes. And so we were still working out all the kinks. And so the audio isn't super, super great, but please bear with us. It is a great episode and you are able to get through it. So,
oh yeah, that was the one where like my mom was running around the room and couldn't get any Wi-Fi, didn't know how to use the link.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So anyway, people,
enjoy the show.
Yeah, enjoy the show.
Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy.
Hi, and I'm Carla.
And together we are the
Eff It
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go.
Just Eff It.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday, you guys.
Hello, happy Monday.
I was saying Carla looks like a gorgeous black swan Natalie Portman this morning. So just really bringing
And I was saying Romy looks like Demi Moore. So
look at us moms pulling it together, starting our day off, feeling good.
Together. Wearing some red lipstick today because I felt feisty.
Because fuck it, why not? Why not put some red lipstick on, right?
I'm just going to get it all on my teeth. It's okay.
It's fine. Totally fine.
Yeah. Yes. More of a reason to lick my teeth more. You
know? Oh, God. That's 100. That's 100, Carla.
Yeah, that's 100. Okay, so if you haven't joined us for any of the previous episodes and you're new here, we are the EFFing Madres and Madres. Sorry, I need to say it the Latino way. We are Madres supporting Madres, which means moms supporting moms. This podcast is basically what it's about is moms who have gone through an Eff It moment, and not just any like random Eff It moment because we have billions of them all day, every day, but we're talking about like the life-changing, pivotal Eff It moments that have changed the trajectory of their lives and their families' lives. So we wanted to create a platform so that we could create a space where moms can support other moms who are going through it or want to have it, so that we can all get our Eff It moment, which is really,
we can be
really
inspired by each other's Eff It moments. We can be encouraged to have Eff It moments. Listening to Eff It moments is helping you and I on, every time we speak to somebody, and we were in the middle of ours. Yeah. That's how we got here. So, yeah. I have to say that this Eff It moment for this podcast episode is really kind of special to me because
it's your mama.
It's my madre.
Yes. We have Romy's madre on.
So yes. I'm pretty excited. I think it's, my mom is a very strong personality. I'm not shocked that I am. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but she's had a lot of fuck it moments. And so when I originally asked her and was like, "Hey mom, I want you to come on. I want you to share." We kind of had to like narrow down, you know, like what we were going to like focus on. But I'm really honored to like look at one of her moments, you know, and be able to share how she went after it or did something that did help our family. So I appreciate you, Carla, for even suggesting, like, you were like, you should bring your mom on. She had a lot of fucking moments. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've told me so
Yeah.
many stories that I was like, I know she's got one in there.
She's got
I
one in
know she's
there.
got one in there. Yeah. I was just gonna say, I'm glad you could bring your mom on, because I'd try to bring my mom on and she'd be like, ¿Qué? ¿Qué es eso?
¿Qué?
No
Carla,
way.
why?
So, yeah, ¿por
Well,
qué?
I said, you know, bringing moms on, like, y'all, if she can get technology, like, if she can download the app and just find her way onto the screen, we have a success.
Oh, we've succeeded.
We have
Just that
succeeded.
alone.
Just that
Yeah,
alone
that's
is a
yeah.
fucking success story that she went after it. She downloaded an app and she figured out how to fucking get on.
That was her fucking moment.
That was her fucking moment. I will download this app. I will get on this fucking podcast. So let's just
That's
pray we have
hilarious.
an episode tonight. Or this
Yeah,
morning.
yeah.
Sorry.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Shall we bring her in?
Yes.
All right, we're in. My mom is
All
here, you guys. It
right.
only took us 2 days, many nights, just to get her to log in and join us. But she is here. Mom, I'm very proud of you.
Hi, Anne.
Hi, Carla.
All right, well, let's get into it. So let's just do this.
Let's just fucking do this.
Everyone, I want to introduce my mother. Everyone, this is my madre and stemmer. Mom, please sit down because I'm going to vomit if you keep me around. You get a put, Mom.
Yeah, you have to stay. You have to stay in one spot, otherwise it moves.
I'm gonna vomit.
All right,
Everyone, this is my mom and Deborah joining us this morning, and we have some fun questions. So, Mom, we were talking about how you have had many fuck it moments in your life, but there's one in particular that is very dear to my heart that we really wanted to touch base on. So, Carla, take it away. Let's get into the interview.
All right, Anne. So the first question for you is, when did you decide to just F it, and why?
well, there's lots of them, but the one we're specifically talking about tonight is in regards to Andy, Romy's brother. So he was born with a genetic disorder. And what I was told, his diagnosis was very bleak, that he was going to be severely disabled and would never walk and would never talk and would never be able to do anything, and for me to put him in an institution. And I said, fuck you.
Wow.
Not happening. Not happening. So
Jeez.
I gently guided the worker that came to my home to tell me to put Andy in an institution to the front door and said, you can kindly leave. And didn't buy into it. Never did. So,
Mom, at this, I want to jump in. Andy was born with his umbilical cord, right, around his neck, came out blue.
so he had two things. He had two things. Unbeknownst to us at the time, yeah. So my amniotic fluid was green, which is a sign of stress. And every time I had a contraction, his heartbeat would drop. So the doctor should have done a C-section, but he allowed me to go through natural childbirth. So when Andy went through the birth canal, the cord was around his neck twice, which cut off his air. So he was code blue. He was dead. So they rushed him out of the room, code blue, code blue. You know, he is my third child. I know what it's like to have a child come out that looks normal. So they rushed him out and they brought him into me about 2 hours later, and I was trying to breastfeed him and he turned blue again. So I buzzed the nurses and they came and got him. And they started doing all these tests on him. And I was having my tubes tied, not knowing that all this was going to happen. And the next day, after I had my tubes tied, they were transporting him by helicopter to UCI. And I was like, I'm out of here. And they said, you can't leave the hospital. You just had a surgery. And I said, I'll sign whatever you need me to sign. I'm leaving. You're taking my baby somewhere? I'm gone. So he got transferred to UCI. And
Wow.
one of the pictures I sent you was the first time Romy and her brother met Andy. They had face mask on, and you could see the look of terror in their eyes because they're like, what is going on? So they were doing all these tests on him, and we discovered he had a genetic disorder. It's called Ring 18, and at the time he was born, there were 75 case studies. So there wasn't a lot known about it, but it was
not
not
at
a
all.
good. No, he was going to be severely and never be able to do anything. And I was like, that is not happening. If there's only 75 case studies, how do you know what this child's going to do? So between the cord being around his neck and the genetic disorder, which is strictly from Agent Orange, because their father was sprayed with Agent Orange in Vietnam, which ultimately killed him and created the problems with Andy. So I had a lot of those moments.
Wow.
Where I was like, no, this is not happening, but no, we don't know what he's going to do. So I'm going to push him as hard as I can in every aspect. He came home on an apnea monitor and an oxygen tank. And I mean, it was insane, but I didn't buy into it ever. I was like, we're going to see what this kid can do. And I'm going to push him. I'm just going to push him. And he walked at 10 months old.
Mom, they said, because I still want to make sure I have it correct too. Like they had said that he was going to be a vegetable, probably not make it.
Not a vegetable, just not a vegetable. What they said is, I had a neurologist say, oh, I got moms like you that come in here all the time and you think you can do it, but when you got to pick them up out of the tub and pick them up and put them on the toilet, you're going to change your mind. This is what the doctor said to me. That was another fuck it moment, because I was like, you don't know what this kid is going to do. How do you know?
Right.
So I left that neurologist, and he is amazing. He's a rock star.
Andy
Wow.
came home and immediately you got people in working with him. He was on the breathing machine. He was super tiny. Mind you too, like he was the most beautiful child. He's just this blonde, little, gorgeous, adorable. Like he was my angel from the day he came home. He was just so cute, and we just loved on him and smothered him. And I mean, this was to the point, Mom, right, where he could barely move his hands times. He couldn't feed himself.
Well, he couldn't move his fingers. His hands stayed like this because when your when your oxygen is cut off, he got mild cerebral palsy in his fingers. So he couldn't suck. He couldn't hold a bottle. So I had a physical therapist come that had to work with him to get him to suck, to get him to open his hands. He was on an apnea monitor. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but Andy would stop breathing. So he would do it all night. So the apnea monitor would alarm when he stopped breathing.
Could you imagine, Carla? Could you imagine your baby coming home?
I wanted to get him home from the hospital so bad, but then I got him home and I didn't sleep because I would stare at him thinking the alarm's going to go off. I'm not going to hear it. He's going to die. And then I had an oxygen tank for him in the house.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He didn't have enough oxygen. But all he did was smile.
He was such a lover. He was such a lover. Mom, you coming home and taking that moment of basically telling the doctors, fuck you. You don't have enough cases. You don't know what my son is going to do. Something in your gut, right? Something told you, bring him home to do this. He's going to have, I assume he's going to have a life, right?
Yeah, I mean, as moms, all of us, you're gonna do everything you can for your child, and whatever they tell you, you're gonna do everything you can to either help the situation or find a way to correct it if you can. I mean, a genetic disorder is a genetic disorder, but I think, I come from strong parents who raised me to never quit, never give up, and you just do it. So I didn't know anything different than no.
Yeah.
We don't know what
That
he's
you
going
were
to
just
do.
going to do
And
it.
had I listened to them,
Right.
I don't think he would be where he is today, because I pushed them, I pushed them constantly and didn't buy into any of it. And I remember when Andy was, I don't know, 11 months old or 12, he was a little prankster, right? He was. So I said to the doctors, I said, you have to be smart. Something's going on in his brain if he can play
Yeah.
tricks with me.
Yeah.
Remember? And when
Yeah.
he got up and walked, it was like, yeah. I wanted to take him back to the neurologist.
Every milestone that he had was such a big deal. Every little milestone, and down to like when he could finally hold a spoon or chew food, or it was just such a big deal. And I think it was such a blessing. It was a blessing for me to have a sibling like that, to be able to just love him so unconditionally, to feel that love from him. He has been an angel in my life, an angel in everybody's life. I've met him because kid is love. He is just love. He's amazing.
He's a perfect version of an authentic human being, and Andy doesn't have the capacity to carry any baggage. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he just lives in the moment, so he's not scarred. He's
Yeah.
not messed up from this happened when I was 10 or he just lives right now. So it's like a constant
Yeah.
reminder of how we all should live. Like, I'll be stressed about something and I'll go pick him up, and immediately I'm like, what am I
Right.
doing? Because Andy just makes you be in the moment. Just immediately.
How old is he now?
Wow.
34. I'm old,
I,
Romy.
Wow.
it is amazing though. 34 years old, and I mean, Mom, what did you do about it when you came home? What did you do once you made that, like, we're going home? What was your biggest thing that you did?
I freaked. I was terrified. I couldn't wait to take my baby home because he was in the hospital for 2 weeks. My mom would do the night shift and I would do the day shift. We never wanted him to not have one of us there. God bless my mom. So she stayed there all night in a rocking chair, and then I would go during the day because I had Nick and Romy at home. They were 6 and 4. So I couldn't wait to take him home, couldn't wait to take him home. And then that day came and they said, you get to take him home. And they put all this equipment in my car. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, I was so used to the nurses being there. So I in sleep.
Yeah.
I just, kept having people come to the house and tell me, how bad it was going to be. Um, he didn't have the oxygen tank originally. I just noticed he was blue around his mouth all the time. So we had to do a sleep study and found out that he was having the apnea monitor was set for if he stopped breathing at 10 seconds. Well, he was having no breath under that, which wasn't causing it to alarm. So he was blue. So I had to get an oxygen tank. So, and Romy probably remembers this. One day, this is another moment. So I had to drive from Corona, because I lived out there, to UCI. And taking Andy to the doctors was an adventure. I had a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, had him in, car seat, had an oxygen tank in the back, the apnea monitor in the back. Now he has a hernia that would pop out. So I'm driving with the kids in the car. The hernia pops out. So with one hand, I'm trying to push the hernia back. Then the apnea monitor's alarming. The oxygen tank fell in the back seat. It sounds like a duck squawking. And all this is going on. And I look in the rearview mirror, and Romy and Nick are just like, so I just pulled over. I got the hernia back in. I plopped up the oxygen tank. I got out on the side of the
Carla's
road.
face.
And I got back in the
I
car.
can't even
drove to his
imagine
appointment.
this. Oh my gosh.
Like, Carla, you and I just getting our daughter in the car, like, it's hard enough when
Oh
they're
my
crying.
gosh.
Imagine 2 kids and then all of that on your
All of the
own by
equipment.
yourself.
It was crazy.
Oh.
But you do it. The
I
thing
can't
is, you
even
would do
begin.
it. You would do
Yeah,
it.
I can't even
Moms will
begin
do it.
to imagine what that's true. You would do it. You have no choice. But like, because we're in, like, I'm not in that situation, it's just like, oh my God, I can't imagine it. But you're right. You would absolutely do it. You'd figure it out.
I don't want to do it over. I mean, now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why I'm like this,
Gosh.
Carla. That little boy.
I mean,
has,
she had to raise me,
Okay.
Nick, and Andy, so bless her.
yeah, because Nick got diagnosed later that had learning disabilities. So I'm like, no, we're just having one. We're not. I'm sorry, we're not having two.
Yeah, my other brother ended up having some issues as well. I mean, all of us ended up having something from my dad's Agent Orange, which we figured out later. But Andy was like the blessing of it all because, like Mom said,
Yeah,
Andy was never aware of it, and he still really isn't. His reality is life is good, man. He likes ladies. He loves to dance. He loves sports. You know, he's not in a any kind of reality that lets him feel like he's different at all.
there's
He's like
anything wrong with him.
man in the town.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't like somebody, he's like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay.
Like, no, that doesn't work. I mean, he's just so like, he feels people, right?
Oh,
He
man.
knows if someone isn't a genuine person, and he's just
Yeah.
100%.
He is 100% authentic.
100%.
Like
Yes.
he
So that's a gift for me
Yeah.
and Romy.
That's amazing.
I think it's cool to say, like, you know, to share the fact that Andy has been in all kinds of Special Olympics. He loves sport. He loves bowling. He does love the ladies. He's had girlfriends. He's gone to prom. He has, you know, been on dance teams. He's a major dancer. We've, as his family, been able to see this little boy who they couldn't get to chew or hold hands turn 31, turn 32, turn 33, dance on stage, go to prom. I mean, could you imagine if you didn't say fuck it and you
No.
didn't give this kid the opportunity? Could you imagine? You know, he's had such a beautiful life.
What was the other choices they were giving you? Like that you were like, no, fuck.
They told me to put him in an institution. They literally, the woman sat down at my kitchen table, came to my house and said that I should really consider putting him in an institution because I had two other children. It was good. And I literally, Carla, because I'm writing a book called Andy's Mom, I literally in the book said, the nicest thing I did to that woman, because I was going to let her have it, was to say, I'm going to kindly walk you to the door. Bye. Like, don't come to my house and tell me to put my kid in an institution.
Right.
He was 2 months old.
So I'm assuming all you felt was just pure anger and just like,
oh, yeah. I was tired of people telling me what he wasn't going to do, and I decided to focus on what he could do. So, for instance, when I got him in school, you know, his speech was going to be severely delayed. And Andy used to sound like Michael Jackson. Remember, Romy? That's how.
Yeah, very high
That's how he
pitched,
verbalized. He
little
like
a little mouse,
yeah.
a little mouse.
It just he made squeaking sounds, right? He couldn't really verbalize. And I thought he's going to talk. So I would pick him up from school, and he'd get in the car, right? And I'd go, what'd you do today? And he'd do this with his head. And I go, nope, we're not playing that game. If you don't tell me what you did today, when we get home, this is what's going to happen. And he'd sit up in the car. I play ball. Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
You have words. So he would be embarrassed to talk to people, you know, because they wouldn't understand him initially. So he'd stop and look at me, and I'm like, nope, you tell him what you're saying. You need to speak.
And you know what?
And
That's still something that you.
Yeah, I do. I make
You
him
still
talk.
do that with him. Like we'll be and you'll ask him questions, and he'll go, no, and you'll be like, no, Andy, like focus, talk to your sister, talk to your niece, like to the people around you, and he will. You know, it takes him a minute, but he will. Mom, just to give a picture for all the moms that are listening, how old were you when this all happened?
I'm 29. I was 29 when I had him. He was born March 2nd, 1988. So I was 29 and I turned 30 that following 2 weeks later.
Wow.
You know, he's incredible.
That's
I'm really,
incredible.
really fortunate. I am. And people don't understand that. I mean, yes, it's been hard. And you go through a kind of grieving period differently when you have a child like him, because every milestone, you know, I grieve that he's not going to have a wife, or Christmas. Every Christmas, I'm with him. So I am his Christmas. I'm his birthday. I am every holiday. There's times I don't want to do that, to be honest, you know, but so I grieve different stages that he thinks he won't have in life that he has no idea of. He's not grieving anything. But as a mom, you know, I'm like, gosh, it would have been nice, you know, what would he have been like? Because he's so athletic and he was just this personality. And I think, you know, if he wasn't disabled, who would he have been? And then I don't let myself go there, because who he is amazing. And he's here for a reason. He is. I mean, I saw what it did with Romy.
Right.
When Romy was in high school, every kid in Andy's classroom asked Romy to prom. They would call her because she would give her number to them because she felt so sweet towards them. And they were all calling her, asking her to go to prom.
He was always in, like, you know, the classroom with, you know, like with all like his peers and stuff, and they would see me on campus and they would like wave and they knew I was his sister, and then like they'd ask for my number and give them my number, and then I'd have, like, remember those see-through phones back in the 90s, like in my room? I'd be getting phone calls from like all the kids in his class, and I was like, I think I made a mistake because now they're calling me like all the time.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I loved every part of being
his sister.
Yeah, it was the best. It was such a blessing. I mean, his birthday parties were lit. Those kids were a blast. I mean, it was just so much joy every time. I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, there are stories for days, but I will say, like, you know, as what you were just saying, Mom, you know, as far as like your boys aren't probably gonna, you know, and Andy get married, have kids. I mean, maybe. I mean, we've had moments.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not, he would like to.
Yeah, so it really was me.
But it's not going to happen.
Right. That's why you should be so happy I got married so many times, Mom. I was just kind of making up for the boys.
Well, that's a whole other moment.
That's another show.
I wanted to ask, really, because when you were talking about when you like had already two kids, right? By the time Andy was born, right? Two. And you knew what a normal kid looked like when you gave birth. Like, what was, when you saw, like, what were those initial feelings when you saw your son?
And saw him dead, basically. He was dead. So I think you go into, like, I went into just total mom mode, you know, like, no, like, I just, no. And I yelled at Richard to run
Richard's my dad.
and follow
Yeah.
them, because they just code blue and ran with my baby gone. And I didn't know if he was alive for probably 20 minutes because they were working on him. Yeah, I didn't.
Oh my God.
That was not a good moment.
Jeez, that's a trauma. That's, aside from birth itself, you were suffering, you went from one trauma to another. That's, oh my gosh,
It was
I
awful.
can't even fathom.
Then when they finally brought him into
My
me,
God.
because Richard stayed in there and they were, you know, trying to get that. He had swallowed all the meconium, you know, is in his lungs. So they were trying to get it out so he could breathe,
Oh, jeez.
you know. So I had to wait till they did all that. Nobody's telling me because they're working on him. So I just kept saying, where's my baby? Where's my baby? And they finally brought him into me. And, you know, I wanted to breastfeed him immediately because that's, you know, what you do. And he got on and he turned completely blue
my
again.
God.
And I just
No.
freaked.
No.
And, you know, buzzed the nurse, and she came running in and took him out again. And I didn't see him. I didn't get to hold him. I didn't get to.
He was in that little glass box when we came in, and we had to like put our mask on, and we had to put our hand through, and he had all the machines hooked up to him and like keeping him alive basically. Yeah, I was sick. So I'm coming in to see my baby brother, and I remember it was like, it was a traumatic, in a sense, experience at a young age to see your little brother being kept alive this way, you know? But I mean, immediately when that little boy came home, for me, he has held the most special place in my heart. I mean,
Romy is
yeah,
like mothered
yeah,
him.
since the day
He loves Roro.
he came home. He calls me
Calls her
Roro because
Roro.
he could never say Romy. So that's where the nickname Roro came. I think my Instagram at one point was Roro, and it was because my brother just couldn't fully say Romy, so it was Roro.
Romy.
Um,
Roro.
yeah, and I mean,
Oh.
I can't imagine trying to show up, Mom, for me and Nick while dealing with that and yourself. Like, how did you show up for anyone other than him?
I don't know. You just do it. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, I would be there all day and come home to you guys and do dinner. Grandma stayed there at the hospital with him. I hadn't slept in weeks. You guys needed me. You guys were scared. You know, you guys didn't know what was happening because you don't realize when you have a child like that. And Romy was old enough, 6 years old. You know, life changed dramatically at that point because everything went to him that first year.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, it
Yeah.
took all my time.
That's, yeah.
So it's not that I was neglecting them, but he was so sick. And so they're not getting everything
Right.
they probably needed from me at that time because I'm trying like hell to make sure this kid
Stays alive.
breathes.
Yeah.
No, when Andy was 5 months old, I left their dad. He couldn't deal with it. And I learned later on why. But
Mom, I want to reference this because Carla will understand this too. And my dad is like old school Hispanic man. His ability with these types of issues, I think we've kind of talked about this. It was just, right, Mom, like too big for him to like.
well, what I found out later, and I didn't know, he had a lot of guilt because I think in his heart he thought it was Agent Orange, and we had never talked about that. We never even fathomed that we would have disabled children because of it. So I found that out later, but he could not handle it. And I remember the nurse at the hospital said, it's really important that Andy goes home to an environment that is this way to help him. And Richard couldn't do it. So I left when he was 5 months old and moved in with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
God bless my mother.
Yeah,
okay?
she helped raise
my
us
mom
all.
at the time,
Wow.
she was 50-something years old. I'm 63.
Jeez.
I can't imagine 3 kids coming. One's disabled. So she and I worked as a team.
Were you ever working with any of your kids, or did you just like decide not to work, especially once Andy was born?
I went back to school full time. It took 14 units and had 3
Mom
kids.
went back to school with all of us.
Was working on my bachelor's in nursing.
Oh my God, you should have 100 medals.
Yeah.
With all of us home and my grandma raising us, helping us. My dad was out of the picture for the most part. And she was like, Mom, weren't you working at like Blockbuster at night and then going to
No,
school?
I did that for 2 weeks and came home and went, I can't raise 3 kids on this. And I drove up to see my father in Vegas. He lived in Vegas, and I drove up there and I said, what do I do, Pop? He goes, you need to go to school. You need to get a degree. I said, how am I going to do that? He goes, you'll just do it, Em. I'm like, okay. So I did. And I went through the summers, and I went, you know, and when the girls, when Rummy had days off or the kids had a day off from school, I still had to go. So I'd take them to class with me. Do you remember that, Rummy?
Yeah. Yeah. I loved going to school with my mom. It was like the best day ever to have. I think it was to have that time with her because I didn't have a lot of it because she was so
They didn't have it.
And she was trying to figure out a career to take care of the 3 of us. And then so much of her energy went to the boys. And so if there was ever a day that I didn't have school and I could join my mom at her city college, like it was my bonding time, you know?
So, you know, it's been wonderful for me, Carla, is because Romy had a baby. It changes your perspective of motherhood and her understanding of me as a woman, not just her mom. But as a woman that was going through that, and that will make me cry. That's been life-changing. Because she's the only one that could ever say that to me out of my children. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yes.
So that meant a lot to me, Romy.
Yeah, and I think that's why
Yeah.
it's really important for me to be able to interview you, Mom, is because, you know, my mom can't have the boys look at her in that journey and acknowledge or know what it was like for my mom. They don't see it because they can't necessarily comprehend it or view it that way, but I'm the only one out of the three of them that, you know, go with me here, people, that is relatively with it, right? Okay, guys? Like I'm
we don't like the word normal, but we'll use it for
Yeah, but I'm the one that like can understand and watched what she went through. I'm the oldest and now I'm a mother. So like I am the only one that can reflect with my mom about that, and then as a mother, you know, bring her on here and be like, "Wow, that was a big thing that you did, because I am a mother, I am a woman. I can't even imagine, you know? I just obviously you've taught me, and Carla and I would do the same thing. If it came to down to it and that's what our situation was, we'd fucking do it, right? Because that's what we do as mothers. We would fucking do it. But I mean, as a mother who's I'm a, you know, juggling a job, a career, a daughter, all the things. I can't like I give you so much praise, Mom. I do, because that is you were handed so much, and you're still very young when all this is happening, and dad wasn't in the picture. Yeah.
huh?
And you're so
I know, right?
happy. You're so happy all the time. Like I don't know how have you been able to be so like lighthearted and like smiling all the time?
Well, I mean, I think part of that's innate, and I had amazing mom that helped. If I didn't have my mother, honestly, I couldn't have done it. There's no way. My mother gave up her life
She
to
did.
help me, and we had a bond that is like unbelievable because she was a very unselfish woman. And
Yes.
she said that Andy came because my mother had so many scars and so many issues because her mother was not a great mother to her. And she said that she was given Andy to heal. It was the first time my mother ever experienced unconditional love. So he healed people, everybody he touches, he heals, because he healed my mom. And my
Well,
mom changed.
grandma had a lot of hangups with how she was as a mother to my mom and my mom's siblings. My grandma had a lot of trauma with just not knowing from her mother how to show up. And then that, as we
Right.
talk about in these things, you know, generational, she then raises her kids, but not in the best way because she's trying to figure it out. Andy comes into my grandma's life, and this little boy just loves her.
She was amazing. Truly
I mean,
amazing woman.
Wow.
Carla, if our daughters, you know, were in this
Wow.
situation, like, and gave birth and needed help, I mean, what do? You know, you show up. You show up, and
Yeah.
it takes. I mean, we've
Yeah,
said
for
this. It
sure.
takes a village, right?
Yeah.
It takes a village sometimes.
Oh, it does. And you know what was wonderful too is, you know, all of my brothers and my sister at that time, they treated Andy like there wasn't anything. We all did. It's like we weren't going to cater to his disability. We were going to cater to his
Yeah,
amazing soul and personality, and nobody treated him differently. Like the expectation was he would play football with us, and we'd make him the
yeah,
quarterback, and his
yeah. We
foot was
made him the
curved in.
quarterback during family football. What did it do by doing this? By making that choice to just tell the doctors to fuck it. What did it do for our family? What do you think it did for all of us by you making that decision?
Well, I think you and your brother Nicholas have amazing strength and tenacity, and you had a awareness of differences in people, and didn't judge. You know, it allowed you to see a different world. You know, of people that were labeled not normal. So you guys have very open and kind hearts, and amazing courage and strength.
Yeah, I think it definitely it was. It was a blessing. It was a blessing for us as children to grow up with that, you know, and it's been a blessing for my daughter to see him as Uncle Andy because as
Oh my
she's getting
gosh.
older, she sees his little, you know, she'll talk to him, she's older and she can see something's a little off, you know, and she's trying to figure it out. And when I see them together and he's just like Uncle Andy, my heart is like I'm getting to see my daughter experience what I experienced and her love for him and the way she just accepts him and isn't thrown off by it. I'm just like, I wish more kids had an uncle or a sibling or you know someone close to them to show just to break all those walls that we've put up. You know that you're looking at someone. Okay, so, mom, what advice would you give to a mom who comes across something like this on her journey? What advice would you give to her when she's, I guess, in that hospital and gets the news of something like this? Or, you know, what would you say to them?
Um, do not give in to any of the bad news, to continue to just believe, do as much research as you can for yourself, because doctors talk in their language. So you need to do your due diligence to understand what it is, but don't give in to the fear, because if you do, you're not going to be able to show up and everything you feel your child feels. So pray, um, and believe. Just believe. Just believe, believe, believe. No matter what they tell you, I'm not saying ignore, just believe. So every time they gave me bad news, I would take it in. I would do my research on what they were telling me. And I would also look at the positive parts, people that survive it.
Okay, so I just want to say, Mom, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us. We are so honored. I am so honored, you know, to hear your story and to share it with other moms. And hopefully, it inspires other mothers to, like you said, do their research, not be taken over by fear, and to really, if
Yeah.
it is prayer,
Yeah.
prayer, and follow their heart. You know,
Yeah. And that can be very hard to do in times like that. So it's pretty amazing that you were able
yeah,
to
yeah.
to change your perspective and see things that way. So that's incredible.
And believe in the best. Believe in the best. Try to see the best in it, not the worst in it.
I didn't know any of this in regards to like how Romy grew up and all of everything that you've gone through. So I'm like, you are Superwoman. Like, it's no joke. Superwoman.
Thank you.
That's me, madre.
Aw. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you to my mom so much for coming on and sharing her story with us. We wanted to let everybody know in order to help families find resources for intellectual and developmental disabilities in children, please visit the Harbor Regional Center at www.harborrc.org for more information.
Love you guys.
Love you too. So
So
Just
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 F
F
F
it.
it.